that there are a number of ways of studying geography, one of them being through fieldwork, the other being through photographs, and then through statistical methods, statistics, and finally using charts and graphs. So in our topic today, we shall be exploring some of these areas. We will focus mainly on fieldwork today. I hope to take you through an activity to give you an assignment so that you carry out fieldwork in your area where you are staying. You will take pictures and then share them with us. So it's going to be an exciting topic. Now, what are the learning outcomes for our topic? By the end of the day, by the time we are through, we are finished, you should know what fieldwork is. What is fieldwork? What does it mean? And then we should understand how to use fieldwork and the different techniques that are used in fieldwork. Some people call them methods of studying fieldwork. We hope to look at them. What are those techniques that we use in fieldwork and how do we apply them? I need you to recall that fieldwork is a way of studying geography, but is also an area that is examinable. You'll be expected to write a project that will be submitted to the National Examination Body, UNEB, for marking at the end of the 4 years. So you are starting a very important journey. The third area that I would like us to focus on, that you should know by the end of the topic, is how to use fieldwork to study a local area. This lesson will not be complete without you going to your home area where you are right now, which is your local area, identifying an area that you want to study, an item. Is it a market? Is it a well? Is it a farm? Is it a garden? Is it a river or a waterfall? So by the end, you should use fieldwork to study that area. And we shall require you to write a report, which you'll submit, detailing what the topic you studied, where you studied, what methods you used, and most importantly, what you found out. So we shall be looking at that. And finally, you'll be able to appreciate the importance of studying fieldwork. I see a hand, and maybe someone might not be hearing. So we want to give Aliyah. Okay. Please go ahead and ask.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes.
The heading.
What heading? This one? Hello? Could you repeat your question? Are they in the same area? Are you in the same? Could you repeat your question? Repeat your question. Okay, since we are not getting the question, I would like us to move on. Now, we will be able to appreciate that fieldwork is important because geography is the study of the real world. So we shall get that at the end of the day to appreciate that fieldwork is important because geography is the study of the real world. So now, what is fieldwork? When we look at it, what is fieldwork? Some people might say that fieldwork is practical study of geography and that it is done outside of the classroom. And it uses the local environment as the laboratory. So we are saying, how do we get information about, or geographical information? How do we study the geography of the world? One method of studying geography is fieldwork. And what is it? It is practical study of geography. It is systematic. It is different from a trip. This one has specific steps that we take, and it uses the local ground as the laboratory. What do we mean by this? That when we are studying fieldwork, we study the local area. We don't do it in class. We do it outside. And it involves us using different methods of study. So if you want to find out about the geography of a particular area, you want to find out the physical features in the area or the problems facing people in a particular area, how do you do it? You use certain methods of study. Methods like seeing things, writing them down, asking people questions, measuring. We give these particular names, scientific names. We call it in geography, observation, recording, interviewing, measurement, etc., etc. So fieldwork is practical study of geography. It is done outside of the classroom, and it involves use of different methods, which are scientific. So when I ask you to go in the field and do a fieldwork study, I'll expect that you specify the methods that you do use. Now, when you go for fieldwork, what do? You interrelate. You show the relationship. You show how one thing affects another. We call it interrelating geographical phenomena. Let me give you an example. You go to a river. So you ask yourself, how did this river come about? How are people using it? There you're drawing a relationship between the river and the environment, between the river and the people. Feedback. So, I'm getting feedback from. Have you switched on? Let us mute everyone. So make sure that you're muted because I'm getting feedback. So the reason for us for going fieldwork is to enable us to draw interrelationships, to show how different features are related. So when we go there, we study the natural phenomenon, the natural features, the God-given features, which you studied in the first topic of geography. We studied them. For example, relief of the area. We might go to study the nature of the landscape. Is it hilly? Is it in a valley? Is it a gentle slope? And then which activities do people do there? So those are things that I would like us to start thinking about. We might go there to study drainage. Drainage to do with the rivers, lakes, the water bodies. So in the area where you come from, I would like you to check, are there water bodies that I can study? Is there a river, for instance, a swamp, a lake? You could study that area. The third is vegetation. You could go and study the vegetation of the area. For example, is there a forest? You might go and study it. You find out how big is it? What are its characteristics? What are the things that make it unique? How has it affected people in the area? Has it helped them in some ways? Has it brought some problems to them? So that is one thing that I would like you to think about. You might go to study the nature of soils in the area. What are they like? So when I tell you to go in the local area to carry out a study, I would like you to think about this. Can I study the soils? What is the color of the soil? What are its other characteristics? Is it fertile? Is it well drained? What problems arise from having that type of soil in the area? What benefits arise from having that type of soil in the area? You might go to study climate, the climate of the area. So your study could focus on that and how it has affected people in that area. So those are natural aspects. So relief, drainage, vegetation, those are God-given aspects. We call them natural aspects or physical aspects. Fieldwork could also be about studying the human aspects, human built features. For example, you might go to study human activities, transport. You want to study how are the people in the area moving? What form of transport do they use? How does it affect them? You might study the market in the area where you buy food from. So you go to the market, you ask yourself, when I go to the market, what are those things that I can study about a market? What do I want to find out there? You might go to study a garden, a plantation in your area. So some people say field work is about going to a trip. No, not necessarily. Field work is about you studying the local area. Fieldwork is about studying the local area. What other things might you study? I have a participant here who is with me, and she wants to ask a question. Go ahead and ask. Why is fieldwork done outside of class? That is the question she has. We have said fieldwork is done outside of classroom, not inside. Outside. You go in the field. Why? I'm going to take 2 minutes. The chat room is open. And I'm going to ask you to type your responses. Why do you think fieldwork is done outside of the classroom? Type your answers. I'm waiting for them. I'm going to read them. You have 2 minutes. You know where the chat room is? On your computer or your phone, there is an icon at the bottom which looks like a chat. Tap it and then type your answers, and I read them in the next few minutes. Let us wait for your responses. I am now going to call upon one or two people. I'm going to call upon a few of you to read through the responses that your friends have given, and then we move on. So if you want to be the one to read the answers, if you can read them, put your hand up. We shall give you permission to speak. Go on, ask to Birunji Patricia. Birunji Patricia.
Because human and natural aspects are found outside, we need to study the local ground as the laboratory, because it is where the features are found. Geography deals with Earth. Earth is outside. You may find more things outside compared to those inside.
Yes, yes.
I think field work is done outside in order to get accurate geographical work.
Yes.
You may find more things outside compared to those inside. I think field
okay. So now I'm going to pick on another one. That is Shaham. It is now your chance. Why do we do field outside of the classroom? You can read from the chat room. You can give an additional answer. Shaham, take your time and yourself. Okay. So I'm going to pick another one at random.
No.
Yes,
I
okay.
think field work is done using in order to get accurate geographical work.
Okay.
I think field work is done using outside in order to get accurate geographical work.
Yes.
You may find more things outside compared to those inside. Geographical deals with Earth is outside.
Okay.
Yeah, and the last one is the classroom is not big enough for enough field work to be done.
The classroom is not big enough. Okay. Do we have, because the geographical surrounding is outside. Okay. So I'm going to leave it at that. Then we move on to the next item. So thank you for your responses. I think I agree. Let's close the chat. I agree. And I want to comment about some of these. You said because the features are found outside, which is correct. But now, is there another reason for doing field work? In any case, we call it field work. So it is in the field. It is field work. It is in the field. Is there another reason for doing the field work? Mr. Chat, let us open the chat room. So type why we do field work. Besides getting accurate information and besides knowing that the information outside of the classroom, why do we do it? Why? So let us type. I'm giving 2 minutes, then we shall have, let me see, this time I'm going to pick on Chloe. I'll pick on Hanisha, Chloe and Hanisha. You are going to read for us. So let us wait a bit. Type your responses.
It has frozen.
Why do we do field work? Why do we can't study the rivers, the lakes, the fish landing sites? Why? Okay, so closing the chat room for now. Close the chat room, Sebo, such that Chloe can give her response. Chloe, you could turn your microphone on and then give us.
Am I reading the answers for the chat or?
No, you can first start with your own answer and then you can read the chat.
Oh, mine was it enables students. Yeah. I'm saying
Chloe,
my answer.
the reason, yes, you are going to say your answer, but we are going to also ask you if you can to read some 3 answers from the chat room so that we can pick the points that your friends have raised.
Yes. Okay, so field work enables students to examine the way theories interact with real life.
Like how? Can you explain a bit?
Both socially and natural theories of the world. Like if you go out, you get to examine things that you've never seen before, but you're trying to like find out what they are.
Okay. Thank you, Chloe. Can you now read 3 responses from the chat? Are you able to read the chat?
Yeah. This is from a kiddie to get accurate answers. And then from Amina, it's because learning practically is more efficient. And then another answer from Nicole na Mugalia to find out the problems first.
Okay.
Yeah, I've
Okay,
read.
so thank you. Thank you, Chloe. You can mute yourself. And next, I want to comment quickly. You said that to get accurate information, I agree with you, because sometimes when you go to a textbook, if the textbook is old, you are not able to get accurate information. But you go to the field, if people were saying something about an area, when you go there, you are able to get the accurate information about that particular area. You are able to get information about that particular area. So I think that is a very powerful point. Now, Hanisha, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Hanisha, you might read for us the response of one person, but you could also choose to give us your own point.
Okay, thank you, teacher. My point was, it is practical and it's supposed to be done on land to allow easy measuring. Because
it is practical.
Yes.
It makes geography practical.
And for easy measuring. To
What
take
do you
easy
mean?
measurements. And also,
Hanisha,
there's enough.
An example of how fieldwork is practical and is a measurement. Do you think you could give?
Okay, for example, in a classroom, you cannot get, it's not easy to get measurements from a classroom because it can be small and it's very easy to get measurements on plain land, like a basketball field, football pitch, and so on.
Okay.
And to read some points from the chat.
Okay, now some comments from the chat room.
Yes.
You could read the name as well so that the person knows that her point was captured.
Okay. Gabby and Bella say to discover more about the environment.
Okay.
Amira say to find out what is around us and how it affects us.
Okay.
Angela said, so as see and understand the environment.
Understand the environment.
Yes. Amina Munira said, it is because learning practically, that answer was mentioned.
It makes learning practical.
Yes. That is all I could read.
Okay. So thank you very much. We are going to put our hands down. So I encourage you now, you know how to put the hand down. You can put the hands down because I want to go to the next item. I want to summarize what I've given. You are very brilliant people. You gave more points than I could even raise. So I'm going to start one presentation here, which talks about the value of fieldwork. But I can tell you, you people are brilliant. You have given the point, and I'm here only smiling, saying, wow, what breed of girls are these who are generating points that even I was struggling to generate. Very good girls, providing quick, accurate information. Accurate information. So, you said fieldwork is used to update information. That one you gave, you said you find out new information, you get accurate information. This is why you do fieldwork. Now you see, you gave them, you hit them even better than me. You are not easy. You are bad news girl. Now, and I use this picture. You see, in 2000, I went to Kassenyi Fish Landing Site. It is there in Wachiso, on Lake Victoria. I took that photo, the one on the left, in 2006. The lake was almost full at that time. I went back in 2007. My friend, things had changed. The water was low. You could now see the sand. Things changed. Look at Kampala. Last year it was different. Look at your home area. 5 years ago, when you were in primary 3, what was it like? How about, would you say the same about your home area? So you go and do field work. You find out, you get up-to-date information about the features in the area, the physical features, the vegetation, the climate, the population. Because geography is dynamic, things change in geography. The second reason you have given is, this one you never gave. When you do field work, you acquire skills. You acquire skills of interviewing, in doing what. We shall not go into which skills you acquire, but that I ask you at the end, what skills do you hope to acquire? But when you go to the field, you ask people questions, you get answers, you interview them, you see things, you learn how to observe carefully. You become a geographer. Thirdly, who is that one now? It makes geography more interesting, learning more interesting. It breaks boredom. Now you see the left to the right. They are in class writing notes from morning. The teacher is teaching all day. All day the teacher is talking, even Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But now you see the girls to the left there in the field having fun. That is field work. It makes it fun. You are home. That's why we do it. It is fun. It makes learning interesting. It helps us to keep records. You go to the field, you write. And we use this for the future. So we get records. Number 5, we draw interrelationships. We understand geography better. Look at that boy. You call him a dude, right? So he has gone to the field, he's looking at the band, has a notebook, they are writing, doing field work, understanding things better. Now those people know what a river is, where you can find it, how wide it can be. They can look at the relief, etc., etc. Field enables you to show a relationship between one thing and another. This area. You have in the background those hills, mountains. In the foreground, near us, you can see some of those things. Now we are going to the next round of the questions. I have put a question. Look at that picture, that photographs. Tell me, has relief affected the settlement here in that picture? How has relief affected settlement when you picture? Are they related? Is one affecting another? Go to the field to study. When you do your field work, you go, you say, hey, how has relief affected settlement? We have taken you to that area. I have flown you to the area now. How has relief affected settlement in that area? Open the chat room, please. Is it open? Okay, the chat room is going to be opened. So let us first in the chat room, and then I'm going to pick on 4 people to mention on one like a human being, and I'll look at the name. I think the name this time should be the X. If your name starts with X, you are lucky. You are the lucky person. If your name starts with X, you are the one to write. You are the one to read. So I'm going to check. Is there anyone whose name starts with X? Tell us, how has relief affected settlement? If there is no name starting with X, no problem. Pardon? Sure. Mziremu. Let me share the screen again. I am told that you are not able to see. Is it now visible? Okay. Hey, we did not see the other screen. Wait, sure. Okay. My friends, you can see properly. My big question. I have given you a hard one. That one is not easy to answer. If you think answer, raise the hand, then I pick you. How has relief affected settlement? You have gone for field work, you have seen. How? Let me stop sharing quickly here, and then we go to the hand. I am going to see which person. Garo Power. Someone called Garo Power. Garo Power, unmute. Garo Power.
Hello, teacher.
Power.
Yes.
Tell us. How has relief, when you looked at that picture, should I share it again? How has relief land use? Girl Power, how has relief affected land use there?
Relief has helped people to get shades.
Could you speak up?
Relief has helped people to get shades.
It has helped people to do what?
Has helped people to get water for growing crops.
To get water.
Yes.
Hey. So the relief has helped people to get water for their crops.
Yes.
It is like what here?
Like when the
because it is gentle, it is steep, because it is what?
Just because it has a lot of trees that help to transpire that forms. So
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
something kind of.
Okay. So you're saying the relief has affected. Okay. To transpire. Let me come in here a bit. With the talking about the nature of the landscape, the slope, the
Yes.
whether it is steeply sloping, whether it is gentle. So the question, people settling on the steep area, or are they settling on the gentle slope? You get me?
Yes.
So people settling and why? Yes, so how has it affected them? Does it make it easier or more difficult? Generally, people tend to settle in areas which have gentle slopes, generally. But let us see. Let me go and see another person.
Bye.
To pick on who. Which person now do I pick on? I'm going to pick on someone, beautiful name called Nabatanzi Shiba. Nabatanzi Shiba. And
Excuse me,
Nabatanzi,
teacher.
yes.
I'm on.
Yes, she's on.
In
Shiba.
very yes.
Yes, tell us.
In very areas.
Hmm.
Settle farming, which leads to settlement.
Okay. Yes, Shiba Nabatanzi. Shiba Nabatanzi.
I'm on.
Yes. Okay. So Shiba, thank you very much. Now I'm looking for someone. Lini Namagembe. Lini Namagembe. Can you read for us some of the answers?
Okay, teacher.
Linel Namagembe.
Teacher, not everyone wrote answers.
Okay.
But the ones I can see is.
So you give us yours.
To me, like the trees help to like prevent soil erosion.
Okay. The trees help to prevent soil erosion, which might allow settle in that area. Okay, as we near the end of our lesson, we have 20 minutes. I now want to summarize quickly by saying that fieldwork is beautiful, it is nice, but it has some disadvantages. Some make it difficult, not so. It has some things that make it difficult. It has some disadvantages. And for the disadvantages, I am going to mention them quickly. And I'm mentioning them because they are not very important. And we need to prepare for them. That is why I'm mentioning them quickly. The disadvantages. Let me just, it helps us to prove the positive thing. It can help us to prove concepts learned in class. No, that's an advantage. But I'm going to the disadvantages. So one other benefit, one other reason for studying fieldwork is to enable us to prove the concepts that we have in class. Some people say, hey, rivers are found in the lower areas, in the valleys that occupy a valley. That is what some people say. They have Lugambo. Rivers occupy valleys. Is it true? When we do field work, we are able to discover whether it is true or not. It helps us to prove concepts. Look at that picture. You can see the river is broken. It is bending in the foreground nearest to you, to the right-hand side. There are some stones in the river. Some people say there are no stones in the river. Geographers now know there are stones there. Some people are useful. Hey, useful. We don't assume. We go for field work. We check. Do rivers help people? That is field work. To prove concepts that you have studied us, whether they are true or not. Not only that, fieldwork enables you to acquire local knowledge. Some of you went to Kitagata in your primary. How would you go there in secondary? I don't. Some people never went, some, you can go. We shall find a way. Here in Nabisunsa, we usually have a trip to Western Uganda, a geographical trip to study geography in Western Uganda. Now look, these guys are there, reading, understanding local of the area. They are at Kitagata Hot Spring. They gain local knowledge. They get an understanding of the area where they are. And at the end of this topic, you should have a good understanding of the area where you are. You will methods that you use to study field work. You are going to study your local area. But is it all nice? No. Sometimes field work is expensive. You need transport. Some of you who live in those big gates, your parents will be saying, hey, our daughter cannot go outside because we cannot buy for her certain things that are needed in field work. But for you, it won't be expensive. You'll just be going around in the area. Disadvantage. But for you, you'll overcome it. Normally, those of you who do field work in far areas, they ask you for a lot of money, 500,000 shillings, field work. They buy tools, they do what? What is your question? What are the equipments needed for field work? That one I'll ask at some point. But maybe pointing out a question there, but we shall look at some of those later. So it is expensive. Now for the next 1 minute, and this one I'll record, please open the chat room. Could you write for me? Could you write for me in the chat room what problem you might experience as a student if I asked you to go in your home area where you are now to study the area? What problem do you think might be there? I'm going to take the first 10 to read the first 10 responses. So 7, I now have 9, Sebo close. Okay, now I go and I read those ones for now. Now we're going to read the points. This time reading. Chat room, where are your beautiful points? Hey. Problem. Problem number 1, kidnapping. Kidnap. People, you have to be careful when you go for the fieldwork study. Around your area. At night, don't go in the evening. You have pointed it out. potential problem of kidnap. So we shall discuss how to overcome it. The second one, not a very interesting feature. You are saying in your area there are no interesting features. Hi, Banange, which home area is that one? Geography. Everywhere I look, I see interesting things. A tree for me is interesting. Yeah. Another one, bad. So, yeah, it is possible. But we can overcome that problem. Another one, yeah. Now, yeah. Due to poor transport, holes, you jump them. Language barrier, people speaking a foreign language. But for you, you go to the local area where you speak. People can speak the same language. Go to the local one. Eh? Don't go very far where you cannot. Eh? Bad weather, you have mentioned that it might rain. Eh? Others. So, but you might be kidnapped. I have seen there bad weather. Okay, as we end, I want suggestions now. Write as many answers as you want in the chat room. In your local area, what geographical things might you want to study? I gave examples. And what might you want to find out about them? What geographical phenomena, what geographical features, what geographical activities, what human activities, what features would you like to study in your local area? And what would you want to find out about them? When we are back, this time I'm going to open, then I'll hear from many of you, but first write down your points. Very, very beautiful day. So we go to the chat room, we have a minute in the chat room, we state our points, and after that one, I'll open to, I want to listen to everyone in the next round. You tell us, for me, I come from this area, there is this feature that I want to study, this is about it. Yeah. This is the next one now. Is the chat room open? Yes.
Searching all of them that we don't know.
Yeah, they don't. Okay.
Because it's just don't know where the water comes from. See water flowing there. It's just like a little thing like a hole.
Okay, so ladies, there, write your points. I'm going to give a chance to almost everyone. You tell me. For me, I come from this area. There is this this activity I want to find out. I come from, there is this thing I want to find out. Aha. That is what I want us to do next. Okay, I think you have thought about your points now. Now I'm going to you. I'm going to start from the top. Ladies, I would like you to rename. There is someone called Kie. Bana, give yourself a Hafiz. Okay. Let me start with the Ali. Linel gave a point last time. Let me start with Aliyah, then I'll go to Gloria and Elma. So it will be Aliyah, then Gloria, Elma. It is going to be Aliyah, it will then be Gloria, and then Elma. Tell us the area where you come from, what you want to find out, and then next week you go and find out some of it, and you'll take a picture and share with us. Aliyah, you have the floor. Aliyah, unmute. Gloria, unmute. Elma.
It's me first.
Let us first allow Aliyah. She's, I think, unmuting.
Okay.
Okay, we go to Gloria now. Gloria. Elma, next.
Teacher, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, it's not necessarily where I come from, but I want to know like more about it in depth.
About?
The Rift Valley.
About the Rift Valley. Okay, thank you. What would like to do, because you are going to be doing this work for Rio, and you're going to be doing this work for Rio. It is not like but this time, local area where you come from, where you're not going to a lot of transport in the neighborhood, what you would want to learn from about here.
Okay, teacher.
Examples like, okay, continue thinking about it. So now I want to go to, the next is going to be A. Where is Sonia? Okay, Sonia has moved out. Now I want to go to Lisa of South, Nabwami, and then to Ashra. So I'm going to allow you to unmute. Okay. Nabwami. Lisa, Ashra, one of you. Either Nabwami or Ashra, whoever is ready. Lisa, I saw your microphone open. If you are not going to mention, put your hand. Guys, you know how to put the hands down, right? Yeah, you put the hand down. I want to pick those up. Okay. I go to the next round. I go to Patience Ataho. You'll be next. Mbezi and Mbezi Asha.
Can you hear me?
You didn't hear?
We had.
Okay, go on.
Teacher, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you very beautifully.
Teacher? Teacher?
Yes.
At our place, up they carry out stone mining.
Okay.
Close at our home. I want to learn about it. I will send you pictures and I share with you people.
Oh, great. Thank you. Next one.
Here.
Josephine.
Here. I live in Rubaga. I want to study about the Kabaka's Lake.
Okay, that's a beautiful area.
Yes, teacher. That's all.
Yeah, thank you. Karunji, Shiba.
Teacher, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
For me, as we stay in Chireka near the Ginger Kampala Highway, or is it that one?
Okay.
So I wanted to go and see, like, talk to those people who are still like working there, and I ask them how did they think of building that place,
Okay.
and how the difficulties they went through, those things.
Okay. So thank you very much. We are now coming to the end of our lesson. I want to use your homeschooling book, this one. You'll go to the section for geography. There is a section for lesson 1.
Which page?
And it is page, use the one for humanities. Use the one for humanities, the one you have. Refer to the one for humanities. And that is under geography, the topic of ways of studying geography. Read through activities from page 1 of geography. Please don't write the notes. It is not writing notes. It is doing. So I need you to do the activity 2. It is on page 2. I need you to read through activity 3 and then activity 4. Next lesson, when we come, we will go through those activities as a bonus activity.
Should we write down all of them?
Yes.
Don't just.
Should we write down all of them?
Do the activity and
Okay. They are not. They are 4 activities.
no, there are 3.
There are 3 activities. 2, 3, 4. I don't expect you to copy the activity. You already have the book. This is your book. Don't copy the activity. I want you to answer the activity. Write the answers. You get me? But as a bonus, because you are home and you are sharp and you have technology, I want proof. I want evidence. Take pictures. We shall share them. You saw the beautiful pictures that I shared. You saw them. So I'll give you an opportunity when we have the next, we'll share the best 2 pictures from the study you did. I don't want a study that is in theory. Go to the field, do activity 2, activity 3, activity 4. When you do them, you're going to write a report. In summary, let me summarize for you the activities. You are going to go to the field. You will identify an area that you are going to study. You will study it. After studying it, you'll mention to us how you found out the information area, and then you'll tell us what you have discovered in studying that area. You are going to identify an area. Don't go where you don't come from, where you are not. You'll identify the area, identify an activity you want to study there, or a feature. After studying it, write for us what methods you used to study. If you asked people, tell us that I asked. After that, tell us the results. What were the things that you put there? Do you want to write a full report? Now, at this time, don't worry about such a big report. At this time, write a summary. When we come to the lesson, we shall discuss and we shall eventually come up with a better report. So don't worry about it. As a bonus, take a picture so that we can have it. This is what we have studied today. Our topic was methods of studying geography. We identified that there are 4 main methods that you can use for methods, that you could use fieldwork. You could use photographs, you could use statistics, and you could, those are the ones that we have. Of course, there are others. Number 2, in today's lesson, focused on fieldwork. We have seen why we need to study fieldwork. We have said It generates high quality information, accurate information. It updates information. It makes classroom interesting. It kills boredom. It helps us to understand geography better. That is what we have said. Then in today's lesson, we have said that we need to do field work. We have identified an area we are interested in, and please do the area, the field work, and when we come next time, we shall discuss the details. Thank you very much. You can turn your videos on now, and then you can wave to each other. So video on, turn your video on time, and then wave to each other. Turn the microphone on. You can unmute. Then so you can say bye-bye to everyone.
Bye.
Get your sport.
Bye.
Teacher.
Write the report.
Bye.